There was a period in my life when I believed in the simplicity of love. Not the fairy tale version. Not the sweeping, orchestral soundtrack kind. Just the kind that's quiet and stable. The kind that holds your hand when your father dies, or helps carry groceries up 3 flights of stairs after work. That was what I thought I had with Elena. We met at a volunteer food drive. She was wearing a paint-stained hoodie, her hair tied up in a messy knot, laughing at a joke I hadn't heard but wished I had. She wasn't perfect. That's what drew me to her. There was something achingly human about the way she moved through the world, like she had secrets but didn't hide them. I thought I knew what I was getting into. Thought we were building a life on a foundation of shared values, a kind of unspoken honesty. That illusion lasted 7 years. It started with small things, as most earthquakes do. Subtle shifts in the ground beneath your feet. I'd come home from work and she'd be out. Not unusual. But she stopped texting where she was going. The bank app on my phone stopped giving me purchase alerts. At first, I chalked it up to a glitch. Then I checked the settings. Notifications disabled. I asked her about it casually, masking the tremor in my voice with a yawn. She told me the app must have updated weird. Said she'd fix it. She didn't. A week later, I caught a glimpse of her phone as she stepped out of the car. Her lock screen lit up with a message preview. Dinner Friday still on? Got the suite again. Winky face. No name. Just a number. My breath caught somewhere between my lungs and my teeth. I didn't say anything. Just smiled, kissed her on the cheek, and carried in the groceries. I needed time. Time to understand what was happening. Time to become the kind of man who didn't react, but planned. Because it wasn't just the suspicion of another man. It was the overdraft notice I got from our joint checking account the next day. A weekend getaway, a spa charge, 2 tickets to a comedy show in a city 3 hours away. I hadn't been to a comedy show in 5 years. Elena hated stand-up. Or so I thought. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I started doing what she thought I wouldn't. I paid attention. I logged in every morning to check the balances. I cross-referenced purchases with her calendar. And slowly, piece by piece, the shape of betrayal began to take form. But what struck me hardest wasn't the man. It was her friend, Kelsey. The one she always claimed was like a sister. The one she swore up and down had no interest in guys, was going through a personal journey, and just needed emotional support. I found the receipts, hotel rooms booked in both their names, charges for upscale wine bars in neighborhoods we never frequented, spa packages for 2. The lies weren't just layered. They were strategic, designed to make me doubt myself, to think maybe I was overthinking things. And that made them worse. Worse because I'd trusted Elena to be the one person who wouldn't play me like a mark. That night, I sat in my car for 2 hours, engine off, just staring at the dashboard. When I finally walked inside, she was on the phone. With Kelsey, I assumed. Laughing. That laugh used to be my favorite sound. Now it was a hammer, pounding at the wall of my chest. And just like that, something shifted. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just started to take notes. Because sometimes justice isn't loud. It's patient. I wasn't naive. I knew if I wanted to act, I needed more than instincts and inferences. I needed proof. So I started small. Late one night, I waited until she was asleep. Her breathing was soft, steady, like the ticking of a metronome. I eased the phone from her hand, swiped her thumb across the biometric lock. A buzz. It opened. I was in. I didn't want to find what I found. I really didn't. But once you start peeling back the skin of a lie, you better be prepared for the bones underneath. The messages were there. Not just to Kelsey, but to a contact labeled with an emoji, a fire symbol. Their tone was casual, intimate, cruelly familiar. One stood out. He's so passive. It's like he wants to be lied to. That one stayed with me. It hurt more than anything I'd read. I learned a lot that night. About Elena. About how long it had been going on. About how deeply they'd gone in, not just physically, but financially. I found bank transfer screenshots. She had opened a second account. In her name only. Transferring money in chunks. 500 here, 2,000 there. Each labeled with something innocuous like groceries or vet bill. We didn't have a pet. I forwarded everything to myself. Then wiped the forwarding history. By sunrise, I was a man transformed. Not bitter. Not angry. Cold. And focused. The first thing I did was take half the remaining balance and move it to a separate account in my name. I left just enough to maintain the illusion. Then I scheduled an appointment with a lawyer. Not for divorce. Not yet. I wasn't going to just leave. I was going to bleed her dry. Let her think she won. Let her smile into her wine glass, while sitting across from someone who had already made her pay in ways she couldn't see. The hardest part was the acting. Waking up each day, pretending everything was fine. Laughing at her jokes. Cooking dinner. Letting her believe I was oblivious. It was the performance of my life. And she bought it. Hook, line, sinker. One afternoon, I accidentally left the bank app open on the kitchen tablet. Watched her pale when she saw the withdrawal. She didn't say anything, just stared at the screen, then back at me. I smiled. Thinking of investing in something new, I said. She nodded slowly. Her mouth smiled. Her eyes didn't. That night, she had sex with me for the first time in weeks. It was mechanical, like an apology wrapped in a trap. I let her think it worked, because now I had leverage. Elena started being nicer, more present. She offered to pack my lunch again. She asked about my day. She even dusted off that half-hearted idea we once had about going to the Oregon coast for a weekend. It was like watching a stranger wearing her face, rehearsing affection. I kept playing my part, smiling, kissing her forehead, pretending I hadn't seen the texts about how bored she was, how predictable I'd become, pretending I didn't remember her message to Kelsey about how she'd do whatever it takes to keep him sweet until the new account is stable. So I let her work for it. Let her dangle in her illusion of control. Because control isn't something you fight for in the open. It's something you extract in silence. By now I had her passwords. I had the full transaction history. I had screenshots of everything, copied onto a hidden USB and encrypted in cloud storage. If she thought she was smart, she hadn't met the version of me she created. She was buying time. So was I. Kelsey was the next angle. I knew Elena had told her that I was a clueless pushover, that I'd never make a move until it's too late. So I tested that theory. I created a fake email account, sent Kelsey an anonymous tip. Your name is on 3 hotel bills tied to a joint account that doesn't belong to you. You're listed as a co-signer on an account Elena never declared to her husband. Legal complications could follow. I'd lawyer up if I were you. No threats. No names. Just a seed of panic. Within 2 hours, Elena was texting Kelsey in a frenzy. Within 3, she was on the phone with the bank. I watched from across the room as she paced the kitchen, tone calm but pitched too high, her free hand trembling as she tried to light a scented candle. That night, she barely ate. Said her stomach was off. Mine wasn't. I cooked steak. Ate every bite. The next morning, I made an appointment with a forensic accountant. I didn't want just proof. I wanted the timeline. Every dollar. Every lie. When I showed him what I had, he whistled low. You planning on pressing charges? Not yet, I said. Then what? I'm going to burn the house down, I said. But I want her to light the match. There's a moment, right before the mirror cracks, where everything still looks perfect. The reflection holds. You believe it's fine. But that moment doesn't last. It was Saturday when the glass finally broke. Elena was humming while making coffee, wearing one of my old shirts, pretending like we were still in love. I watched her from across the table, stirring my cup slowly, thinking about all the pieces lined up and ready to fall. She looked over her shoulder and smiled. We should go out tonight. Somewhere nice. Sounds good, I said, and I meant it. I wanted her to remember that night clearly. We drove into the city. She picked a rooftop bar we used to visit in the early days, before things got complicated, before lies took root like mold in the corners of our life. She looked radiant. That same soft laugh, that same seductive tone that used to undo me. She ordered expensive drinks, paid with our joint card. She leaned in over the candlelight, eyes reflecting the flame. I've missed this. I didn't respond, just reached for my phone and opened the email I'd queued up. To Elena Monroe subject. Proof it contained everything. Screenshots, bank logs, chat messages, the fake account, the withdrawals, Kelsey's messages, every receipt, every transaction, every lie, attached as a neatly organized PDF. All time-stamped, labeled, undeniable. I hit send. The vibration came a few seconds later. Her smile faltered. She reached for her phone with a curious glance, then paused. Read. Scrolled. Eyes widened. Blinked. She looked at me. What is this? That, I said, sipping my drink, is the truth. Her face changed. Fast. Panic. Then confusion. Then fury. You've been spying on me. No, I said. I've been watching you dismantle everything we built and documenting it. in case you decided to play dumb. She opened her mouth to say something. Maybe to lie, maybe to cry, but I raised a hand. Don't. Just read it. And understand that this is the end. She looked like she wanted to scream. But we were in public. The illusion of normalcy held her in place. You can't use this. It's illegal. You accessed my phone. And you laundered money from a joint account and committed fraud. You want to go legal? Let's go. She stood abruptly, knocking over her drink. Eyes wet, lips trembling. I loved you, she whispered. I didn't answer, because I knew now that she didn't. Not really. Not the kind of love that survives this kind of rot. Not the kind that stays loyal when no one's watching. She walked out, and I let her. 2 hours later, Kelsey called me. I let it ring out. Then I texted back. Your name's all over the bank records. Good luck. That night, I slept better than I had in months. But it wasn't over. Not yet. Because I had one more card to play. And I wanted Elena to see it fall. Elena didn't come home that night. I wasn't surprised. She didn't text, didn't call. I pictured her somewhere, pacing with Kelsey, trying to plug the holes in their story. Trying to figure out just how much I knew, and more importantly, what I planned to do with it. Meanwhile, I cleaned the house. Not out of nervous energy. It was practical, measured. A house that looked serene could mask chaos under the surface. Like us, I packed a few of her things. Not all. Just enough for her to understand that a decision had been made on her behalf. The next morning, I called the bank and froze the remaining funds in the joint account. I had enough evidence to justify the hold. Fraud protection. Internal dispute. They complied. I called the lawyer. Told him I was ready to file. Then I drove to the storage unit and opened the safe box I'd rented the week prior. Inside were hard copies of everything. 3 folders. One for me, one for legal counsel, and one for just in case. Because when someone's willing to betray you for money and intimacy, you need to assume they'll stoop lower when they realize you've taken both away. At 3:12 p.m., she texted, Elena, can we talk? Please. I waited an hour. Then I replied, Me? You had a year to talk. You chose lies instead. What's left to say? Elena, I never meant for it to go this far. I was scared. You weren't around. Me? I was working. For us. Elena, I know. I know I messed up. But Kelsey, it wasn't what it looked like. Me, it never is. She stopped replying. That night, she showed up at the house. Her car headlights lit up the driveway. She didn't knock. She just stood outside, clutching a small bag, like some ghost who couldn't figure out where she belonged. I opened the door. Didn't invite her in. You changed the locks, she said. You changed the terms, I replied. She looked tired. Hollow. Like guilt had finally started to eat her face from the inside. Can we talk inside? No. This is where we talk now. The porch. She sighed. You really want to throw everything away? That word again, you. You already did, Elena. I'm just sorting through the ashes. She looked down, picked at her cuticle. I don't love her, you know. It wasn't about that. No, I said. It was about money, control, excitement. I was lost. I didn't know how to ask for help. You knew how to book hotel rooms and open fake accounts. That's not lost. That's deliberate. I could feel the crack starting in her voice. What do you want me to say? Nothing. It's already said. Everything you didn't say, that spoke louder. I handed her the envelope. Divorce papers. Financial breakdowns. A list of all the transactions flagged. Her face crumpled, but I wasn't moved. You have until the end of the week to collect your things. I'll be away. After that, your access is revoked. I don't have anywhere to go, she whispered. You should have thought of that before you burned the bridge. She opened her mouth, then closed it. A long pause. Her fingers trembled as she took the envelope. Then, in the smallest voice I'd ever heard from her, I thought you'd fight for me. No, I said. You thought I'd forgive you. And you confused forgiveness with weakness. I shut the door. Outside, I heard nothing. Not footsteps. Not sobbing. Just silence. She was finally learning what it felt like. Revenge doesn't end with a slammed door. That's the dramatic part, the part that feels like resolution. But the real work happens afterward, when the echo fades and the wreckage is still there, demanding to be cleaned. The Monday after I shut the door on Elena, I took the morning off. Not for rest. For something more important. Freedom. I went to the county clerk's office. Filed the paperwork myself. The divorce was already in motion, but I wanted the satisfaction of handing over the final form with my own 2 hands. It felt like dropping a stone in water and watching the ripple finally reach the edges. By noon, I met with the forensic accountant again. We reviewed the last set of flagged transactions. He confirmed the full total Elena had siphoned over 10 months, just under $38,000. I didn't flinch. You could press criminal charges, he said. Maybe, I replied, but I have something better planned. He smiled. You scare me a little. Good. I had already contacted a civil litigation attorney, specializing in financial misconduct in domestic partnerships. Elena thought she'd get away clean, maybe negotiate half the assets, maybe play the victim. But I'd made sure every paper trail painted her in perfect, ugly detail. But it wasn't just about Elena anymore. Kelsey was next. I filed a complaint with her employer's ethics committee. Attached were logs of financial entanglement, inappropriate use of client-paid travel perks, and evidence of collusion in an ongoing fraud case. Whether or not they acted, her reputation was going to drown in the weight of questions. A week passed. Then two. Elena moved out quietly. No drama. No fights. Just a final box on the porch she didn't even knock to retrieve. I watched through the blinds. She looked thinner, older, but I felt nothing. I wasn't cruel. I didn't take her car. I didn't freeze her personal account. I didn't leak the photos or the messages. I didn't need to. She was already living in the aftermath of her own decisions. I canceled the joint credit cards, closed the shared Netflix, changed passwords, updated beneficiaries. Every administrative line that once tied us together was severed. Clean. Clinical. The last thing I did was buy a new bed. Not because I needed one. Because I refused to dream in the same place betrayal had slept. It took months for the dust to settle. Not everything came back to me. Some money was gone for good. Some friendships never called again. A few family members tried to play both sides and ended up choosing none. That's what betrayal does. It burns through more than just the guilty. But I survived it. I started running again. 5 miles every morning, just me and the pavement. It helped clear my head, gave me something to control. It was a kind of therapy, the kind that leaves your shirt soaked and your legs sore. Pain with purpose. I took up woodworking, built a new desk, a bench for the front porch, a coffee table from reclaimed oak. There's something satisfying about shaping something raw into something useful, something permanent. One evening in late September, I saw Elena again. It was at the grocery store. Of all places. She was thinner, wearing oversized sunglasses, pushing a cart with one hand and scrolling her phone with the other. She didn't see me at first, but when she did, she froze. I kept walking. No words. No nod. Just silence between two people who once swore forever. That was the real ending. Not the emails. Not the court documents. Not even the envelope on the porch. It was the moment we passed each other like strangers and neither of us looked back. I wasn't angry anymore. Anger is a fire. It burns fast, then dies. What remained in me wasn't heat. It was clarity. I could breathe again. Sleep through the night. Make plans without looking over my shoulder. Elena had been a chapter. A long, twisted, brutal chapter. But just a chapter. And I was done rereading it. Kelsey, I heard, left the city. Rumors floated around about a job falling through, an HR investigation, a nervous breakdown. I didn't care enough to find out the truth. Whatever came for her, she earned it. As for me, I didn't rebuild the same life. I didn't look for a new Elena. I didn't swear off love or women or hope. I just lived. Slow. Honest. Simple. Some nights, I still lie in bed and stare at the ceiling, wondering how long it would have gone on if I hadn't caught that message on her phone. If I hadn't trusted my gut. If I had let it slide, like she hoped I would. But then I remember who I am now. Not the man she betrayed. The man who stood back up. The one who didn't yell, didn't break, didn't beg. The one who made sure betrayal came with consequences. That man is still here. Still standing. And finally, at peace.